Hey, good evening, everybody. How's everybody? On a scale of 1 to 10, hold up fingers 1 to 10. How you doing? How's your week so far? All right. Hey, we're glad to have you here at True North. In just a minute, if you are a guest in just a moment, we're going to all stand up and we'll meet one another. When we do that, we have some students that'll be up here with a Baskin-Robbins gift card just for you. If it is your first time, all you got to do is walk up here and get that while we're all milling around. I'm by myself tonight. Blake sends his greetings, but Blake and Lizzie are in quarantine. And so during the 4-minute party, you know where you can go and say hi to them, right up there at that camera, or you can say hello to anyone. He did say they would be tuning in. So Blake, Lizzie, we hope you all get to feeling better soon. They're feeling fine from what I understand, but they are in quarantine. So we hope you get to feeling better soon and are back with us very, very soon. He might miss one more week, but you all can go and say hello to him up here. Several faces that I've not seen in a while, and I know a lot of people are out. The holiday weekend is coming up. How many of you are traveling more than 50 miles away from your home on Friday, Saturday, Sunday, or Monday? Raise your hand. Anybody? Just Mandy? Is that it? Are you the only one, Mandy? Okay. Mandy's getting away from everybody. All right. Well, we are glad to have you with us. To those that are joining online, as always, thank you for being with us for True North. We have a lot of exciting things that are going to happen tonight. We have a video we're going to debut and show you in just a moment. Before we do that, if you've got a cell phone, would you mind turning it down so that it's not going to be a distraction? I've already forgotten to turn mine down. And I got a text from John Austin. He says hello. There you go. Good. Say John. So I don't know that he can hear you. I think he's watching right now, but he texted earlier today. So be sure and give a shout out to some folks there, and we move on forward. In just a moment, we're going to have a 4-minute party. Those that are going to help up here pass out things, come on up if you know who you are already. We have some of our students. Sam Chapin. Sam, you're featured in our video coming up. Yeah. All I can say is people are really going to get a kick out of you. That was a hint.
Oh, you betcha I have a joke.
Oh, Cedric's already got a joke?
You betcha.
The Baskin-Robbins gift cards are right here for those that are guests. Everybody else, even though we have a slightly smaller crowd than normal, we want you to make it easier for you to meet somebody that you don't know. Remember, if anybody shows up here and leaves and is not spoken to, then we've failed. So find your way around the room. See if you can meet a number of people, and let's try to find out how many people you can meet that you don't know, or give a shout out to people that you think might be watching back home, including Blake and Lizzie. Or you can say hi to my mom, or you can say hi to Blake's mom. I'm sure she's watching as well. Rhonda, if you're watching, hello. And Larry too. So anybody, whoever's watching, hello. All right, everybody got the drill? You know the plan. It's very easy. All you got to do is find somebody and say, I don't believe we've met. Tell me your name. If you're a guest, while we all stand up, you'll come up here. Let's all stand up and let's have a 4-minute party. Let's go.
Hi guys. Welcome back to True North. We're glad you're tuning in. So this week we're just going to be having a normal True North. There's Skid is continuing his series this week, so hopefully you enjoy that.
And we're watching a video of the kidnapping. If you don't know what that is, you'll find out.
Yeah, so that's something to look forward to, and we'll see you next week. Bye.
Hey, Blake Boggs.
I wanted to say hey, Blake Boggs and Slater Coggins. Slater's watching, but
Hey, Tim and Malia Grubbs.
hello, Mom and Dad.
Hey, Tim and Malia Grubbs.
Blake Boggs. Hi, Blake Boggs.
Hi, Blake Boggs and Lizzie Boggs.
And
And John Austin Skelton.
Mandy, Amelia, Marcis.
Hey, guys.
Shout out to Kirsten Jones, Landon Qualls, and Blake and Lizzie Boggs at home watching for not being here.
Blake, Lizzie, we hope you all get to feeling better very soon. Other folks that may be in quarantine, we miss you guys, and we hope you're back very soon. Mom, hello, love you all. And Dad, I guess Dad may be watching too. So take care. I've got to get an envelope from Hope. Hope, you want to say hi to anybody? Say hi to Blake and Lizzie.
Hey Blake, hey Lizzie. Blake, I miss you, and there are packages on your desk at the office. I'm assuming they're books. I don't really know.
We just carry on a whole conversation here. Just all of us in the office talking about life. Y'all get better. We look forward to seeing everybody back in here as soon as you can get back. Enjoy tonight. Lots of fun things are going to happen. We'll see you soon. Let's make our way back. Head on back to your seat. Let's go. Head on back, everybody. All right, everybody. Cedria Orantes writes a note on the back of the worship every week. In addition to wanting to, I keep forgetting to put Prince of Peace in the, she always writes down at the bottom of the order of worship, Prince of Peace. I guess you like that song? Okay. And she keeps writing it down, and so I've got to remember to include it at some point. But here's Cedria's joke. She says, it's September the 1st. Happy fall, everybody. What kind of vest should you wear in the fall? What kind of vest should you wear in the fall? Oh, yes, a harvest. A harvest. Very good. All right, there you go. Thank you, Cedric. Any complaint emails, send those to cedriaorantes@worshipjoke.com. We want to let everybody know, especially the girls, about the Girls Night Out on Saturday, September the 18th from 6 to 10 p.m. here in this building. If you're a girl, raise your hand. All right, girls, we want you to join one another here for pizza and games and a movie. It's going to be in this place right in here on September the 18th. It's going to be $3 for pizza. We'll say more about that in an email. Be checking that out later on. All right, guys, we got to roll. It's time for your pictures of the week. It's more like one picture in a video. So buckle up. A whole lot happened on Friday. Here's the picture. Of our 57th graders, there were close to 35 or 40, I don't remember how many, but the senior class kidnapped the 7th graders on Friday night. And this is the smallest crowd we've had in a while, but the largest amount of energy. Why is that? Probably because all the kids, the 7th graders, ate those sugar tubes at Phaser Craze. Hey, but we brought them back here, and we gave them a top secret survival guide in a kit. If you're a 7th grader and you were not here Friday night, we have a survival kit for you. We want you to get one of those, and I think I know where they are. You'll have to see me after True North. We'll get you your survival kit. Very important. Seniors did a fabulous job walking the 7th graders through the 30 items, 29 items in their survival kit. Parents of a 7th grader, raise your hand. Any parents of 7th graders, raise your hands. I'm about to throw you guys under the bus. Are you a parent of a 7th grader, Finn? Okay. Parents of 7th graders, they had an assignment to walk you through their survival kit. Can anybody say that their child walked you through what was in their survival kit? Well, okay, nobody did that. All right. 7th graders, you were supposed to walk your parents through the survival kit. All right. Hey, we don't have a lot of time, and we've got a lot to show you. So we're just going to take a moment before we head into worship. Seniors, you did a fabulous job. 7th graders, you did an awesome job. We're sad that some couldn't join us. I will say this before the video. Where is Jackson? Jackson, where are you? Oh, you're up here this time. You weren't back there. Jackson had a football game and couldn't go on Friday night. It was his first home football game. And you had your sister and some other friends from the Woodbury contingent. Woodbury's trying to take over True North, in case y'all haven't noticed. They're slowly amassing an army. It's very slow. It's a slow process. But he was like, you know what? They're not going to miss out on the kidnapping. And so you kidnapped them and took them out yourself. And you went to a Thai restaurant. Is that right? And it was great. It was great. And I won't put them on the spot because I know they probably don't want to answer questions publicly. But you all had a great time. You said they're missing it, but they're not going to miss out. And Jackson went and got them together and went and did something with his sister and some other folks from the Woodbury contingent that are 7th graders. Nice job. Good job. That was great. I meant to get a picture to show that. But everybody else, hey. Thank you. 7th graders, we have pictures in this. Not everybody made the pictures because I did not get a picture from every group. So I don't want you to feel left out. Please, it's not that you didn't matter. I just did not have pictures. I included all the ones I personally received. Having said all that, let's find out what happened on Friday night when we went out into town and kidnapped the 7th graders. Mike, roll it. There we are. So great job, 7th graders and seniors. And if I were you, I would, I guess, be looking for more appearances from the Telethuggies. That was a rowdy group right there. And Isaac, just keep your cat at home, please. Isaac, what's your cat's name? Socks. That cat did not want to be in that video, did it? Isaac still has scars all over where the cat does not like to leave the house, right? And as soon as you all got the cat out of the house, it was like, it was crawling all over him. Scry was like, just for the sake of the video, Isaac, he was like, hurry, hurry, hurry. Anyway, all right, great job. 7th graders, we're glad to have you in the group. Seniors, we're thankful for the way that you welcome them. And now 7th graders, you can see how quickly the time goes by. And it'll go by very, very quickly. So enjoy and make the most of it. We're going to spend some time now as we get ready to worship. We're going to open up again the Luke 15 here in just a moment and share a little bit from God's Word together. I want to go ahead and be planting in your mind. We've got a couple more weeks of this series, September the 8th and then the 15th. We're going to try to end on the 15th. Our 15 series will end on the 15th. And then David Young is starting a new a new sermon series on September the 10th or 11th, whatever that Sunday is. He's going to be starting a new worship series. And for the 8 weeks that follow that, after the 15th, we're going to begin to phase in some of that teaching into True North because David wants all grades and ages from cradle, children's ministry, youth ministry, college ministry, and adult ministry, small groups, discipleship groups, wants everything kind of aligned for 8 weeks. David is going to be coming into True North with us for at least 4 of those 8 weeks and is going to do a dialogue where we're going to talk about a lot of things and a lot of issues. We'll just kind of tease it right now, but then that's going to be happening for September, October, and the beginning of November. So adults, we want to encourage you, those watching online, I think it's going to be a fascinating time of dialogue. David and I met today to work out what dates he's going to be in here with us. And he'll be here and we'll just kind of be tag teaming. You'll have a chance to write some questions and you will have questions about that. So that's coming up. It is the first Wednesday of the month. And so for the first time in a long time, Sharon Thornhill is going to be in that classroom right over there. There are prayer cards or prayer papers rather, blank sheets of paper up here on the stage with pens. If you have a pen there and you want to write something, that's fine. If you're a guest, an adult, anybody that has a prayer request, you can fill one of these out and you can send that under the door. Sharon is going to be praying for those requests, not only tonight, but for these requests all throughout the month of September. So if you have any of those, I need one volunteer that'll write something on a card for me since I won't be able to write on a card. Is there somebody that would mind writing something down for me? Would you mind that? If you'll grab one in just a moment and just write down, you don't have to worry about spelling, but I've got a good friend whose name is Remy. Just like Ratatouille. Remy is a dear friend, and Remy is very, very sick with COVID in the hospital in Florida. He is currently on a ventilator and on an ECMO machine. He's 46 and is not doing well, but the doctors have said there's small baby steps forward. But his wife, Sheila, who has been a longtime friend of mine, called and said, I know you know lots of people. Would you just have people pray? I don't want to just use the platform up here to push out my request. Not that it's more important than any of yours, but I don't feel bad asking you to join me in praying for my friend Remy, that he will heal. The conference that I'm going to this weekend, normally I would be seeing Remy and we'd be eating dinner together and laughing, and I pray that we have the opportunity to do that again. So if you'll just lift up Remy, you can just write that down, just Skid's friend Remy, and Sharon probably already knows because she's on those other prayer teams that have been praying for him. Many of you, I know, have relatives that are continuing to battle infection and are recovering or in quarantine. We want to continue to pray a prayer of praise for those who have recovered and continue to lift up all of those. This is going to be over at some point, and we just look forward to that. In the meantime, let's just pray that God will show us everything we need to know while we do that. So we're going to enter into a time of worship. Those that are going to help us sing, if you all want to come on and grab spots and get in place. And as we worship tonight, I just want to really encourage you to kind of lock in. We'll turn the lights out so there's nothing distracting. We'll leave the lights up for just a minute, though, so you can write some prayer requests for the first 2 or 3 songs. You can write down anything you want. You can fill out multiple requests. It can be anonymous. You don't have to put your name. Just write that down. If you want to put your name, that would be fine. Adults, feel free to put some requests down. This is a really cool thing that Sharon and a whole lot of our North Boulevard members do. And sometimes it's our widows, sometimes it's a couple, sometimes it's younger folks or college students, former students. But that's been a special holy ground room, and we invite you to take part in that, okay? It's really good to see everybody tonight. And for those that aren't able to be with us watching online, we look forward to having you with us again. Let's go and worship. We'll all stand together. Let's stand together, guys. And Mike will go to the first song, number 11. And during the first couple of songs, feel free to come on up. Somebody can be courageous and lead the way, and we'll leave those up for the first couple of songs, okay?
God of our praise. God's redeeming Son. No
76. 76. I don't know what's different, but you all sound really, really great on that. It's a joy to hear you worship. Let's sing out for a couple songs. Let us worship the Father, worship the Father, worship the Father, glory. Let us worship the Father, worship the Father, worship the Father of God. And we will glorify, the Lord. And we will glorify, the Lord. Sing your praise to the Father, praise to the Father, praise to the Father of glory. Sing your praise to the Father, praise to the Father, praise to the Father of love. And we will glorify the Lord. And we will glorify the Lord. Lift your hands to the Father, hands to the Father, hands to the Father of glory. Lift your hands to the Father, hands to the Father, hands to the Father of love. And we will glorify the Lord. 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 I stand to praise you, but I fall to my knees. My spirit is willing, but my flesh is so weak. Like fire in my soul, make me whole, and where I've been, so like fire in my heart again. I feel your arms around me as the power of your healing begins. Your spirit moves right through me like a mighty rushing wind, like fire in my soul. And so like fire in my heart again, like fire in my soul. And make me whole, where I've been, so like fire in my heart again. Over all the earth, you reign on high. Every mountain stream, every sunset sky. But my one request, Lord, my only aim, is that you reign in me again. Lord, reign in me, reign in your power over all my dreams. In my darkest hour, you are the Lord of all I am. So won't you reign in me again, over every thought, over every word. May my life reflect the beauty of my Lord, 'cause you mean more to me than any earthly thing. So won't you reign in me again, Lord, reign in me, reign in your power over all my dreams. In my darkest hour, you are the Lord of all I am. So won't you reign in me again, Lord, reign in me, reign in your power over all my dreams. In my darkest hour, you are the Lord of So, just a quick recap for those that may be new or visiting with us or joining us online for the first time. We're really, really glad to have you here. I don't know what it was about tonight or what's different. There's not a lot that's different, but it was a joy to watch many of you pretty locked in during a time of worship. It was a great joy to see some of you talking to people that I know you didn't know because they were guests, and I saw some of you greeting them. That was encouraging to see. Saw some of you praying with one another earlier, and to see the prayer requests. I mean, instantly, you can tell that it's been a while since we've done that because you overflowed that room, and Sharon takes very seriously the responsibility to pray for you all. And she has come out of those doors many a Wednesday with tears, and her heart is heavy for the things that you are willing to put down on a sheet of paper. So thank you for that. We're continuing this series that we're calling 15. And I'm thinking about things that are lost, where Jesus tells 3 stories. He doesn't just say, hey guys, I got 3 parables. He doesn't show up at True North or a version of True North and say, hey, everybody sit down, and if you can hear me clap once, I've got a Devo for you. He's not sitting with his disciples, training them. He's eating dinner with tax collectors and sinners, and outside somebody mutters and says, why is he hanging out with those people? Jesus knows that this is happening, so he leaves the party that's going on inside the house, a dinner party around the table. He leaves the dinner party. No telling what he was talking about at that table. That's one on my list of questions, by the way. I've written it in one of my Bibles. I've got a list of a lot of questions, and I've told you before that in the new heavens and the new earth, when I stand before God, my questions probably won't matter. I'll probably wad them up and I'll throw them away. But one of my questions, it's a very random question, by the way. There's lots of big questions. One of my random questions is, what were you talking about at that dinner with the tax collectors and sinners? Because we have a hard time getting pagan people to just show up and want to hang out with us. But they just were drawn to Jesus. There are some of you probably sitting on these very seats. You don't consider yourself a pagan or a tax collector or a sinner in the sense of, I'm not nearly as bad as that person, and I'm not trying to do bad things. I just don't really care about all this. I don't know what I believe about all this. And first of all, praise God. We're just glad that you're here. This is a place to sort that stuff out. This is a place to sit. If you're going to sit anywhere and park while you try to figure things out, this is the place to do it. I met with a former student about a week ago, somebody that you all wouldn't know, maybe some of you might, and this is a former student. They've since graduated. We were just kind of reconnecting, and they're not much older than the oldest of you. And they just said, Skid, I just don't know that you do this and you've done it for a long time, but I just don't know that you have any idea how hard it is to be a teenager today. And we talked a whole lot about that, and I said there's a lot of things I don't know. There's a lot of things I do know. There's probably some things that I know that you don't know that I know. And I do remember what it was like to be a teen. And yes, the world was very different when I was a teenager. It was very different. But a lot of things are similar. People are still pretty much the same, and our hearts are still drawn to do the things that we want to do. And we talked a little bit about Luke 15, because they were like, what are you talking about in True North? And we said, let's just open up. And I just said, here are these 3 stories. Jesus apparently is telling something. Maybe he's telling jokes. That's another one of my questions, by the way, is what was the best joke that Jesus ever told? And I seriously, honestly believe I'm going to get a chance to ask him that question. Now, if I get a list and you say, you got one question, here's Jesus, what do you want to say? I'm probably not going to lead off with that one, but I'm probably going to say, hey, Jesus, what was your best joke? What was your best one-liner? Did Jesus make puns? What did he laugh at? I want to know those things, and I believe those questions have answers. But Jesus was talking about something in there with that dinner with those people. And he hears the people outside. Either he hears them or he just knows their hearts. And they're saying, why does this man eat? Now, don't just think of the word eat like he's having a meal, like he's sitting at lunch with them. To sit at a table with someone was to be in community with them. I mean, it's a big deal when somebody invites you to their house for dinner. When you go to somebody's house, that's still a pretty big deal. But in this culture, it was an even bigger deal. Because you were saying, not just like, hey, come to our house and eat, but it's we want to be in community with you. And so Jesus is saying, I want you. The world didn't, and they stood outside. The party's going on inside. They stand outside and say, we don't want to go in there, Jesus, because we don't want to be with those people. The law tells us we can't associate with those people. And so it's very confusing as to why they're so drawn to Jesus, and Jesus tells these 3 stories. He walks out of the house. So don't look at this as a Bible passage or verses. He doesn't say, hey guys, in Luke 15 hadn't been written yet. Luke hadn't heard about this yet. But he walks out and he says, hey, suppose one of you has a sheep. You have 100 sheep and one of them wanders off. Wouldn't you leave the 99 and go look for him? Yeah, of course you would. At least that's what good shepherds do. We've talked about that one. And then he says, what if, suppose you have a coin. You have 10 coins and you lose one. We talked about that was probably a wedding necklace. And the girl lost one of those coins. And without one of those coins, to every guy that was looking at her as a potential mate, which is, I know, different than our culture would look at this, that girl was worth less. Not worthless, but worth less in her eyes. And that's a Bible illustration, but it's very real today. When some of you guys or girls, you look around and you just feel like a part of me is missing and I am worth less. I'm not as worth as much as I used to be. Jesus says you will turn over the house to look for it. And when you find it, you'll call everybody back and say, you won't believe what I found. So I just thought about some things that are lost. I've lost several things recently. And as I've been cleaning out the filling station a lot, we've been doing a lot of cleaning. Blake and I and the interns and some other teens have cleaned out a lot of stuff. We've given stuff back. I've driven things back to people's houses that belong to them. I've given things to people that I know they left here probably 4 or 5 years ago. Lost and found Bibles and mugs and things with names on them. It's like we want these to go back to their owners. I've been cleaning out boxes in my closet and finding things. It's like Christmas all over again. And I just thought about some things that were lost, and I asked some friends of mine to just send me pictures of things that were lost. Not all of these come from my friends. Some of them did. But a person lost their earring until they find it. They were out jogging and lost their earring. And on the way back on their jog, apparently stepped on it and finished their jog and brought it back home with them. There's their earring. Somebody else loses their wedding ring and they can't find it. And then they realize that they had moved their computer monitor and set their monitor on it and it just perfectly fit right over it. And years later, when they moved that computer monitor, they found their ring. We all know stories of people losing a class ring, and somebody puts on Facebook, I found this class ring. Help me track down whose it is. This guy lost his ring, a wedding ring, on the beach. 4 hours later, he's watching a lady go by with a metal detector. She finds something, she picks it up, and he recognizes it as his ring and goes and she gives it back to him. This lady, 13 years ago, lost her wedding ring in the garden. And then one day she goes out and she has a carat. I guess that now it's like a 15-carat ring. I don't know. Anyway, she finds her wedding ring in the garden. This guy loses his phone in February, and in March, his friend finds it frozen into his driveway, and it still works. And he posts this and says, this is hilarious. Somebody lost their wallet, looked everywhere for it, couldn't find it. It's got a magnetic clip in it. They find it on their car door. They had driven to work and back with their wallet stuck to their car. This person sells an old Miata and goes and pulls up the carpet and finds 18 years worth of lost change in their Miata. Over $20 in change. This kid says, I found he posted on some thread about people that have lost things. I found a wallet that I had when I was in the 3rd grade, and it had $400 in it. He was like, what 3rd grader has $400? But there it was in his wallet. A guy lost his badge fishing, and then 15 years later, somebody finds the badge and locates who it belongs to and gets it back to them. This person here, I wrote this one down because I couldn't believe it. Lost their wallet in the lake. A friend of his, 20 years later, is fishing in the lake and pulls this out of the bottom of the lake and calls his friend up and says, I think this belongs to you, 20 years after the fact. Here's another wallet somebody lost in the ocean 15 years before. You can tell because it's one of those cool Velcro wallets. Brent, did you have a Velcro wallet? Yeah, I had one that I lost at Six Flags on the mine train. Every time I ride the mine train, I hold on to my wallet because that's where I lost my first wallet. It was a Velcro wallet. This guy, 15 years later, somebody finds it in the ocean. This lady lost luggage in a flood, and then it says, let me see, she finds it 6 years later floating in the river. 6 years later, it's floating in the river. Somebody finds it. This guy lost his reading glasses. 2 years later, he's changing his oil, and he finds his glasses underneath his car. He lost them 2 years before. A parent says, I couldn't find my car keys. I looked everywhere, and my kids had taken them and put them in the Little Tikes truck. They were glad to find them. A kid's grandfather takes his skates and hangs them on a small tree out in the yard and forgets about them and comes back almost 30 years later and the tree is completely grown around the skates. This person says, I looked everywhere online trying to find, we lost number 6. We lost number 6 of our volume of encyclopedias until they realized if you look at the spines of the book, that's actually number 9 is number 6 turned upside down. And it was there the entire time. This person says, one of my books went missing years ago. I recently ordered a used copy online, and it's my actual missing book. They get theirs sent back to them in the mail. Somebody got rid of a piano, opened it up, and every action figure their kid had ever owned was in the top of the piano. Probably one of the most heartbreaking ones, somebody in 1986 got a ticket to go see Prince in Copenhagen, lost the ticket, and could not go to the concert. And then 29 years later, they find it as a bookmark in the back of a book when they're moving and realize this is my Prince ticket. Too bad it was well past 1999. All right, so probably my favorite story, though, was of this janitor who's removing some lockers from a school. And you can tell that he's got this little piece that he pulled off as he's trying to paint these lockers. And as he's getting ready to do that, he notices that down in the crevice beside of the locker, appears to be a red bag or a purse, and he pulls it out. It's still pretty well intact. And he unzips the purse, and it's from this lady, a student in 1956 at this school. This only happened a couple of years ago. Her name is Patty Rumfola. They find out that Patty passed away recently at the age of 71, but they opened up this purse with her family's blessing and permission, and it was a time capsule. Here's a 14-year-old high school, I think freshman she was, maybe middle school, and everything is almost perfectly preserved down to the pencils. She's got a calendar showing what year it was, and she's got her makeup in there. Here's a little wallet or a purse that has her library card, a receipt for her school yearbook. She paid $2 for it. Here's another receipt for something, and she's got receipts stuffed in there. Here's some membership cards that she has. She's got the football or the baseball schedule and a baseball pass that gets her into all the baseball games. Here are the football schedule. She's marked off the games she's already been to, and here's her Red Cross badge, tickets to plays and games and things that she had been to. Here are the notes from a play that she was working on where she was all of the songs and the cast list and the set list for a school play. One of her friends, Bonnie, a perfectly preserved picture, and writes her a note about what a good friend, and I certainly hope that we're always going to be friends. Family pictures are stuck down in this purse. Pictures of now great-grandparents that have long since passed, and a lot of her YMCA cards. She tried her hand at sketching out cartoons from the paper. A perfectly preserved peppermint stick of gum. And then she has a small pennant that is the Sacred Heart of Jesus that is stuck down inside of this purse. And the only other thing that they found were 9 wheat pennies that she collected from the hallways of the school. Everything is crammed inside this purse, and it is, they're like, this is Patty's life. We know everything about Patty. They knew who her friends were, and they knew where she lived. They knew what sports she did. They looked it up and found other things about her. But everything is in this time capsule that at some point she put down between the lockers and forgot where it was. And then somebody put new lockers up, and it was preserved there for many, many, many years. And it was found. Not by her, but they called her family. She had 5 living children, and all 5 of them showed up. It made the news. You can find videos of it online, I believe. And each of her family, they leave all the stuff in the purse there as an exhibit for the school. But each one of them took one of these coins and made a pendant or a necklace or put it in a locket to remember their mom. Because they said this is something that she held dear, and we know everything about her. The question that when I saw this story, as I'm looking up lost things, I came across all kinds of hilarious lost items and wacky stories of things that were found years later. But this one just intrigued me because here's somebody that's long gone, but we know everything about them because of what they left behind. And I'm thinking of every possible, this is kind of like that scenario. The obvious one that comes to me is that, Jesus is gone, but he leaves behind, tucked away. The Sacred Heart of Jesus is there for us. And we know everything about him. We can reconstruct everything about his life, and it's all right there to say he was in fact a real person. That's the obvious connection, but there's probably a bigger one that's more relevant to a 7th to 12th grader in 2021. Let's just imagine that we find your backpack or your wallet or your bag or whatever you keep and carry stuff in. You're the equivalent of your little handbag that Patty Rumfola carried with her in 1956. Let's imagine that we find yours 40 or 50 years from now. What are we going to find out about you? What is somebody going to know? Patty didn't have a choice of saying, let me go through that and take out some things. Let me go through that and edit what you might find out about me. We don't know everything about her, but we know a whole lot from just a very small time capsule of her life. What would we find out about you? We'd find out the people that were dear to you. Would people be able to know that you were a person of faith? Would you have a Bible verse or a bookmark or a picture from a youth event? Would you have a Bible? Would you have a verse folded up? Would you have a note from somebody with wise advice? Would you have memberships of all the things you were a part of or the teams that you were a part of? What would we learn about you? Because right now, all of you are a walking time capsule. You're building all of these stories. You're doing exactly what Patty did, going about your day, living your life. But 50 years from now, what are people going to say about each of you in this room? We watched that video tonight, and we see Ian Qualls as a 6th grader playing perfection. And just like that, he's a senior playing perfection. And I just watched that video, and I thought, man, Ian hadn't changed a whole lot. But it happens really fast. He even remembered when he saw the games, he was like, I think I played that 6 years ago, sitting in this room right here. But in 50 years, Ian, what are people going to say about you? We can watch these videos, and 7th graders, you better believe that at some point in the future, that video will show back up and you'll laugh at the way that you looked when you were in the 7th grade, or the goofy face that you made, or the time that you thought you were being really hilarious. You're going to look at that. I'm sure the Teletuggies will look back on that when you all are, married and have kids, and they're going to be so proud. Your grandkids will be so proud to see you in that. But we know a lot about people. We can watch that and say, that's somebody that I want to be around. That's somebody that I would like to be. Some of you, as happened very recently, will watch one of those videos and will not just laugh at the stupid jokes and roll their eyes at my silly comments, or you go, oh, I remember her, or I remember him. Some, as I witnessed very recently, will watch those videos and go, wow, I wish I was the person that I was then. What gets lost? Jesus comes back through and he says in this third story, it's a third story of this chapter, and we're going to spend the last 3 weeks of this series on that story. That's a story that if you've been to VBS and you've been to our awesome children's ministry, you've heard in Faith Boulevard a lot of times, and they've done a fabulous job of teaching it to you. But I think there are things there that a 3rd grader just can't fully and completely process. We've talked about the lost sheep. Sheep get lost because they just wander off. They just go somewhere. And guess what? When a sheep wanders off, it's not like your dog when he gets out and you go, hey, come back here, and you clap your hands, and your dog, if your dog can hear you, unlike some of our dogs, they come back to you. A dog will normally respond and come back. Not all dogs, but they'll come back to you. Cats, not so much, but a dog will come back to you because a dog wants to be where you are. A sheep just doesn't follow. A sheep has to be driven or guided or prodded, but a sheep's not just going to easily come and follow you. The sheep just wander away. The coin got lost because somebody just didn't take good care of it and put it in the wrong place and just either neglected it or accidentally dropped it or just wasn't paying attention. But Jesus says there's a third way of being lost. Now, some of you, again, I hope I never come across as preaching at. Almost all of my teaching is confessional, meaning that at one point I've lived it, which is why I think I can so passionately talk about it. But if I ever come across as doing this, then I forgive me for that. But some of you or some of your friends or some folks that aren't with us tonight or aren't here tonight, they're like the sheep. They just kind of wander away. The pandemic has done that to a lot of people. You just found yourself like wading out in the ocean and talking to your friends, floating on the waves, just talking. You weren't even swimming. And then you look back and you're a mile down from your condo. That's happened to you, right? You're like, wait, where's our condo? It's way down there. How'd we get there? Because the current just kind of carries you away. And that's what happens. Some of you, like the coin, you get lost because somebody that you love just didn't quite pay attention to you the way they should have. And so you get neglected and you get lost, and they take you over here and you follow them because you love them, and then all of a sudden you turn around and they're gone, and you realize, wait a minute, how'd I end up here? Because I followed the wrong person or I followed the wrong voice. You didn't mean to do it. You weren't setting out to say, I'm going to go that way because I know my parents and God want me to go that way, but I'm going this way. You just find yourself somewhere, and hey, I'm telling you, every person in this room has found themselves somewhere where they're like, wait, how did I end up here? I never intended to be here. And so you're like the coin. But then Jesus turns to a story in Luke 15, and it just says that Jesus continued. I wish I could have been there, because I don't know how much time passed between that first story. I doubt Jesus said, if you got it, say got it. But he tells about a sheep and he tells about a coin, and then he stops. And I have to imagine, I know I'm taking dramatic liberties here, but he pauses for just a minute, and he walks and he finds a dad that's standing there, a dad that's brought his 2 sons either to mock the sinners or to get in line to go eat when there's room inside the house. I don't know. But he sees a dad, and he shows up, and here are the 2 sons, and he says, is your dad here? And this guy goes, yeah, he's back there. He's like, okay. So what'd you guys come here for? They're like, we just saw there was a crowd of people. We just want to know what's going on. And Jesus says, would you guys mind helping me for a second? They're like, what do we got to do? We have to talk? They're like, no, let's talk. He says, come here for a second. Come here. And everybody's looking, and they're like, what's he going to do? Oh, those guys must have been talking. They were probably texting. They were probably writing on a scroll during the message. There's a problem. And Jesus said, there was a man who had 2 sons. Well, now every parent's listening. All the kids are listening. All their friends are listening, trying to find out what they got busted doing or what silly thing they're going to have to do. All the disciples are listening, like, where's this going to go? And all the Pharisees are like, what's the point of this story? Everybody's listening. And he says, there was a man who had 2 sons. The younger one said to his father, he said, Father, give me my share of the estate. So he divided his property between them. Now, to us, we know the story, right? In one of my D groups, I had some guys just walk through the story, and they knew most of it. And I said, you can only say one sentence. Give me one sentence. And they were like, well, there was a dad who had 2 sons, and that's stop. Okay, that's it. Next sentence. Somebody else goes, and then the younger son said, like, did he steal something? They're like, no, he didn't steal anything. He said to his dad, like, give me my stuff. And they're like, okay. And then what was next? And they go, well, then there was another son, and I don't guess he did anything. And then stop. Next sentence. Well, then one son, we pieced together a story that they said they had heard their whole lives, but had a little bit of a challenge trying to go through it. So keep in mind. Brent, do you mind coming up here for a second? The dad in the story, we're just going to let your dad actually be both of your dads. And so he says, hey, is Dad here? And the guy goes, yeah, it's me. He goes, hey, Dad, come up here. And he says, so the younger son, this is now your younger son, so we'll call him Ezra. This is the younger son. He says, the younger son says, hey, give me my share of the estate. Now, some of you know this, some of you never thought about this. First of all, when does somebody get the estate of somebody that is their parent? When do you get the estate? After they have. So when he says, I want you to give me my inheritance, what in essence is he saying to his dad? Yeah, I wish you were dead. Let's pretend like you were dead. Hey, Dad, let's just pretend like you're dead because, Dad, I no longer want to be in relationship with you. I no longer want to be your son. I no longer want to be a part of this family. But I want what's rightfully mine. So why don't you just give me my share of the estate? Now, the older son would have gotten 2/3 of the estate, which means that all of the animals back at home, he divides them. So keep in mind, he doesn't just say, here's yours, and now take off and go. And one day when I die, you're going to get yours. He divides them. So this son, he takes his 2/3, which most of us have never really thought about that. He takes his, the younger son gets his 1/3, and then he says, Dad, just give me what's mine, and the son divides the property. Now, one of the things that the older son would have had the responsibility of doing in a culture like this would have been, for lack of a better word, the reconciler, meaning that if there was a problem between any of the kids, the older son would have the responsibility of saying, we're going to make this right, we're going to fix this. If there was a problem with the son and the parent, the son was going to have to step in and say, I'm going to reconcile this. If the son had done something else with somebody else in the community, the older son would have to reconcile. Well, in this story that Jesus tells, he doesn't speak up. He says nothing. He just takes what's his too. You quickly realize this is not the story of the prodigal son. All we got to do is make one small change. What's the new name of the story? The parable of the prodigal sons. There's 2 lost boys here. So then he says this. He divides the property up. He gives them the property. And then, not long after that, the younger son got together. How much did he get together? Don't shrug it. Look at the word. Yeah, all he had. Thank you. Whoever can read, thank you. The younger son got together all. He didn't say he packed a bag. It doesn't say that he packed a travel kit. He got together all he had. What can we surmise from that sentence? That he got together everything he owned. Somebody raise your hand and say it loud. I can't hear you when you whisper because a lot of you are afraid of giving a wrong answer. So you go, yes, Ethan.
He got all his money.
He got all his money. Why does he get all of it? What does that mean? What does that tell us, Sam? He's leaving for good. I'm not coming back. I'm taking everything. You know, thank goodness when Annabelle went off to college, she's got her room still there. She's got her clothes still there. She comes back at Christmas. You know, Daisy, when she got married and she moved out into a new home, she still left a lot of her stuff. I know my mom is watching this right now going, yes, I wish you had taken all you had and left when you left, but I still have some of your stuff in the attic. Come and get it. But thankfully, my girls still have stuff that they own. When they leave, I don't think, where are you going? Because I know they want to come back. This son takes everything that he had and he sets off for a distant country. I want you to go over there. Now we have to pause for just a moment right here. We're going to try to end on a lighter note tonight, but I want you to get this picture. What happened in the story of the lost sheep? The sheep leaves, and the person in this role, not the dad, but the does what? Looks. Okay. Yeah. You're right. I'm just pressing you. I'm pushing against your answer. He looks for it. He finds it. You're right. You're like, what are you trying to go for? What does he have to do? What? Yeah. So he has to go get the sheep. So in that story, whoever's in this role right here, he goes to where the sheep is and he's going to go get him. All right. Okay, now Brent, come back. Reset. You stay there. Now we have the story of the lost coin. Now Luke is a coin. I know that doesn't make much sense. It's a pun. But we've got the person who lost the coin is now not the dad. It's now not the shepherd, but it's now a young girl or a young woman. Use your willing suspension of disbelief. And what does the person in this role do then when the coin is lost? What do? They go and they try to look for it and they go and find it. And they're like, oh, yes, I found the coin, everybody. I know we're not excited about finding a quarter. Well, some of us are. My family is. But you're like, it's not that big a deal. All right, now reset again. Because these stories are very similar. You got a lost sheep, you have a lost coin, you have a lost son. Got it. They're all 3 stories are similar. You've got a shepherd, you've got a girl who owns a shepherd who owns a sheep, a girl who owns a coin, and a father who's got a son. Got it. But there's one difference. What's the difference? What is different about the third story that probably the audience is like, what are they expecting to happen now? They're like, we get it, Jesus. Okay, we got it now. Brent, we know what you're supposed to do. What's Brent supposed to do here? Okay, but now wait a minute, Ethan, what are you going to say? He doesn't go and look for him. Huh. Everybody goes, we know what happens next, Jesus. It says he went off and he set off for a distant country. I'm going to end a little differently than I wanted to. so I'm not going to do it. I'm changing one thing. We're just going to wrap up here in just a moment because I really want to leave you with this image. Because I've been stuck with this. I've been reading. I've been reading this story over like 10 times a day, just reading it and underlining and drawing. And I'm like, I've heard it, I know it, but just reading it and reading it and reading it. I went to a conference years ago in 2005. By the way, the first time I met Ken Miedema, the blind guy who performed at Impact, I was at a youth conference in 2005, and I went to a workshop that was from 9 until 4. And all we did is spend time in this chapter, Luke 15. And we had to read this chapter about 70 times during that and just read it one word at a time. We had to read it one time where you would read it and you would wait 2 minutes between the next word. And then you'd read it and you wait 2 minutes between the next word. And then you'd read it. And I thought, I'm going to hit somebody with my Bible. But I will tell you, it was so rich because I stopped and I just dissected every little syllable. And I get to this part and I think, wait a minute. Okay, Dad, go. And he doesn't go. I'm like, why doesn't he go? So somebody answer this question for me. When does he get lost? It's a question worth thinking about. And I know that we got 7th graders and 12th graders. When I'm driving in my car, some of y'all adults do this when you're driving in the car and you get lost. I turn the radio down. My wife's like, why is that going to help? I'm like, hold on. Whenever I turn the radio down, my family's like, oh, Dad's lost. Turn it up, shh. So we're going to get louder. So all of a sudden, the answer's going to, and then I lean forward. I lean forward, and my wife's like, you realize if you're lost, you're now more lost when you lean forward? I'm like, I don't need your help right now. And I tell my wife, I'm like, I don't get lost. I just like to routinely investigate alternative destinations. And I get lost. And you don't just, hey, family, load up. We're going to get lost. You're just driving and driving. All of a sudden you realize, oh, okay, wait a minute, we're lost. You just kind of get lost. There's not a moment where you're like, found, lost. When does he get lost, somebody? I love wrong answers. I don't care if it's a wrong answer. I just want an answer. When does he get lost? Think about it. It's a big question. Yeah. Say it again. Was he lost before he left? Yeah, thank you, Emily. Because the answers I was waiting for is he went to a distant country, so after he squandered all his money, now he's lost. Oh, he's lost now because he's fine as long as he's got money, right? You think? No. Well, he's got lost about halfway here. He could have turned back, but once he didn't turn back, he was lost. I love Emily's answer. For those of you that couldn't hear, he was lost before he left. That's why the dad doesn't go get him, because he realizes he was lost here when he said, I don't want you, or I don't want to be here. The dad knows, right now I've got a lost son right now. But you're going, well, okay, then why doesn't he go look for him? It's not that he doesn't care about him, because you're like, well, the dad must not care because look here, he's been over there now for like 10 minutes and Dad's still standing over here. Like, come on, Dad, go do something. And you think the dad's like, no, I'm not. You got to take a step. I'm not coming to you. You know better. That's not what's happening. The father never stops. He never stops looking for this kid. But he just doesn't go to get him. Make sure you all are hearing this. He was lost before he left when he said, I'm going to take what's mine, and there's 2 words, give me. Dad, give me what's mine. Just give it to me because I know what to do with it better than you know what to do with it. So, Dad, let's just make sure that this represents everything that I own. We've just kind of put it in this, not in this little, but I say, Dad, give me that because this is my purity. I know what to do with it better than what you know what to do with it. So I'll look at what I want to look at. I'll date who I want to date. This is mine. Give it to me. Or this is my integrity. Dad, give it to me. I'll know what to do with it. I'll hold on to it. And I know what to do with it better than you do. I'll take it where I want to go. And if I want to go over here, I'm going to take it with me because it is mine. And the dad realizes he's lost. Does the dad stop loving him? No. We're going to come back to this one later. You can have a seat. Main character in the story, but not right now. Now we end tonight with this image of somebody who sets off for a distant country where there he squandered his wealth in wild living. So I'll close with this thought tonight. I want you to see this image, and I want to have the student in the room who's a 7th grader or a 12th grader, boy or girl, who says, okay, fine, I'm here at True North. I've been polite. I've listened to your little talk. I've not just interrupted you. I've not texted. I've behaved. But Skid, you don't know how hard it is to be a teenager today. You don't know what I've done. And you don't know what I'm guilty of. You don't know what I feel ashamed of. You don't know what I'm afraid of. You don't know what I hate about myself. You don't know. Like, Skid, you sing these worship songs, and everybody, the people beside me are lifting their hands, and everybody here has got it all together, but I don't, and I don't even want to have it all together. I don't care. Somebody would say, as was said to me by a former student just less than 48 hours ago, I am so far off. I'm just so far off. You're close to Jesus, and she's close to Jesus. He's close. I mean, I watched you guys take notes, and I watch you read. I watch you go to camp, and I watch you go to... I'm sorry. I'm just so... I don't get it. I don't sit where you guys sit. I don't want to get up on the front row. I don't even want to be here. I'm not sure I believe it. I am just so far off. And I will tell you that the dad, he loves you a whole lot more because you're sitting right there, and you're his friend. He loves you, and he's going to love you guys. But Skid, he didn't love me because I'm still a long ways off. Oh, man. If you're the person who says, I used to be close, and I used to do those things, and I used to like that when I was a kid, when I was in Faith Boulevard, or when I was at kids camp, or that one time when I went to Winterfest, oh, yeah, I was right there, but I am still a long way off. Then, boy, spoiler alert, you have got to wait till the moment that phrase comes back into play in this story, while he was still a long way off. And we're going to get to that next week. And it's one of the coolest moments in all of Scripture, because I've gotten to witness it at least twice with my own eyes, and I've watched it happen. But tonight we have to leave you still a long way off, because it just doesn't happen just like that. You're there, and he's there, and Jesus says, but the story is not even close to being over. Let's pray. God, I thank you for those in this room who just need this passage, and it may be just me who needs it. I thank you for the students who are listening, even though their hearts may be wandering. I'm thankful for those who may feel angry or guilty, ashamed, afraid, or full of doubt, but they're still absorbing. God, may your Spirit speak to them and not just anybody that's teaching or talking. But God, just by being here, I pray that you would work through the hearts of the students who feel like they are a long way off. I thank you for this story. And I can't wait for us to unpack the verses next week, because it's so, so exciting. And for those who need to hear them, give them ears to hear, whether here or online, and just make sure, God, that your Spirit is working in their hearts. I'm thankful that we have a Father who loves us when we are a long way off. And may that phrase alone bring hope tonight to somebody. God, be with Remy. Speak to Remy tonight, and may your Spirit say things to him that his family cannot say to him right now, that will allow him to hold on. And it's through your Son's name that we pray, and we all say together, amen. God bless you guys. Thank you. Have a great night. We'll see you all next Wednesday. Have a great Labor Day weekend, everybody. Thank you, Brent.